Going on YouTube, Cloverbell's here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be talking about Gholdengo in the Regulation F format. So it's rising again, and it's not just rising, it's actually winning tournaments. It has a regional win to its name. It's a little bit interesting, right? Just because of all the things that's running around that can actually resist the Gholdengo, make it rain damage, and even do super effective damage to it, right? You think of Incineroar, you think of like Ogerpon Wellspring, you think of Single Strike Urshifu, all three things that can, not just resist, but also, do great damage into the Gholdengo for that matter, right? And then even stuff like Raging Bolt, Assault Vest can resist Gholdengo, make it rain relatively well. And then, just Sucker Punch pressure from Qianpao, especially, again, like other dark types besides the Urshifu, they can do well. Landorus also does great into Gholdengo. So like a lot of different things can do well against Gholdengo. So the question is, why is it rising? How is that even possible? It's because, Metal Coat Make It Rain is busted, even though it is resisted, right? Especially after a nasty plot boost, right? So, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a couple of teams that have been able to utilize Gholdengo all of a sudden relatively well, because it's actually quite splashable on a lot of different teams, okay? And even though you might be able to resist the Gholdengo damage, the fact that you have a Metal Coat coupled with nasty plot, for example, is it still can KO you potentially, right? And immunity to Amoongus is also a plus, right? And then don't forget, you have terrestrialization available to you. Sometimes you might go Tera Fairy, to resist the dark damage, but like just imagine this: Metal Coat, Tera Steel, Make It Rain, and then nasty plot, right? Like, even though you resisted, how much are you actually resisting? Right? And even after you've taken some chip damage, like, it doesn't matter if you resisted. This move is too good, okay? So you have a lot of things going for you, right? But what I want to do first before we get into the teams is just show you like a couple of good spreads that you can consider and some sets. Of course, we're still going with nasty plot, protect, make it rain, shadow ball, but like this set in particular, this is actually a very slow Gholdengo set. Sometimes you might use this on some of your slower teams. And then like even some of those Trick Room teams with Porygon, which we'll show you. But the idea here is that this hits the third benchmark with the Gholdengo special attack investment, and then 244 HP and 44 defense. This will give you the favorable roll against the Qianpao Sucker Punch. And a lot of these sets that I'm going to show you actually takes into account that calc in particular, just because Qianpao is just so common. So again, that's what we're going for here, right? So this is like a non-speed Gholdengo Metal Coat spread, right? Then if we get into another one that actually does use investments, okay? So still we have the same calc, right? 244, 68. Now we actually can guarantee it, right? So if I just show you this set here, just in terms of the calc here, like again, Sucker Punch from the Adamant Qianpao, we're able to survive that relatively well. But now we actually have some speed to our name, right? 132 investment. This is good with some of those Tornadus Tailwinds. Again, 121 is a good benchmark in VGC. Again, after like a plus or minus one icy wind kind of thing, you're just able to outspeed some of the genies, right? The Tornadus stuff. So again, that's what we're going for, but we speed crept that by 1 point here. So, we're going for this. And then again, with this Metal Coat nasty plot investment, what you can do is actually drop it down a little bit. You can go 52 investment. Again, this is the first bump, and then the rest just goes into special defense, right? Because we already have the physical damage calc that we want. So you can definitely do that. That's another way to utilize Gholdengo here. Then you also have this Life Orb set, which more or less still accomplishes the same thing here. We have the same speed here, but all I'm really doing is optimizing the Life Orb chip here. So I have 189 as opposed to 193 here. So again, you always want to end your HP in a 9 anytime you have Life Orb, because you're trying to undercut the threshold by 1 point. Because if I did this, for example, now I'm taking 19 damage per turn, whereas if I did this, right, 18.9 rounds down to 18, so I'm only taking 18 damage per turn, right? 1 HP less per Life Orb chip. And then I still have the same investment here, and I'm able to put on immediate pressure with this Life Orb, even though I don't have the nasty plot boost. So I can afford the drop in the special attack as opposed to this Gholdengo here, right? And which is also very, very, very convenient in terms of what we're trying to do here. And then if we go into the leftover set over here, so this one still, again, achieves the same damage calc that some of the others have. Again, we're just re-optimizing our HP here for leftovers, so we're going to 192 instead, which means we go to 76 investment for that Chien-Pao same calc. And again, now we're going back to the 132, the second benchmark here. These guys, this was the third benchmark. This was the first one. This one is the second one. All right, and then we have a little bit of speed here. So this way, you know, after like an Icy Wind, for example, you can outspeed base 100s. You know, something like an Entei, for example. We don't want to be taking fire type attacks all in all. You know, just accounting for that, for example. You can even drop this and make this a little bit faster, right? So for example, you could just do this again, and then just put like a couple of EVs here, right? So now you can also do this where you can still outspeed some of the other, you know, base speed 100 speed creepers, right? So you could definitely consider that. But all in all, we just opted for, you know, I'm just showing you the second benchmark here with the Gholdengo, right? But all in all, like again, the main physical damage calc that we're living here is the Chien-Pao idea. But whether you do like Life Orb leftovers or Metal Coat, it's still the same, more or less, HP and defense investment. It just all depends on how much speed you want, right? And also how much special attack investment do you value, right? And that just depends on you as a player and also whatever is left on your team. Just in all things considered. All right, but hopefully that gives you some ideas on if you want to use Gholdengo. Now we can show you some of the teams that have been able to utilize Gholdengo to its fullest. So we'll start with Toller Webb's team here, right? And he actually has the EV spreads for this. I'm just showing you the open team sheet. But basically the idea is this: you have Tornadus giving you, you know, the Tailwind speed control, which Gholdengo very much enjoys. Then you have the Ogerpon Wellspring. So then you have the Follow Me Redirection. Along with Incineroar, providing Fake Out. Again, opportunities to set up the nasty plot. And then after that, you can even give yourself some damage mitigation with Snarl. So you have Intimidate support, you have, you know, Snarl pressure here. So you have attack and physical attack damage reduction, all keeping Gholdengo alive here to be able to set this up. And then, of course, your Urshifu just gives you a little bit better matchup into the side spam stuff, right? So this is the idea here with Gholdengo. If you want to go like hyper offensive with Tornadus, just give Toller Webb's team a try. You can also do hyper offensive Regidrago stuff. So this is another winning team here from the Spear Pillar tournament this past Saturday. F Monkey team over here. So again, we have Tornadus with Life Orb Gholdengo here with nasty plot. Okay, and again, you have Fake Out pressure coming from the Rillaboom this time. And then the Ogerpon Heart Flame is the one with Follow Me here. So again, similar ideas to Toller Webb. But again, now you have the Urshifu Rapid Strike here. So this is your other Urshifu variant, giving you damage in the Tailwind, right? But interesting, no Rain Dance here. Instead, it's just Icy Wind, a little bit more speed control, which is good. All right, then Regidrago here gives you the Dragon pressure here, right? And we've talked about this before with Regidrago and Gholdengo. Right, the only thing that can really resist Regidrago's Dragon Energy is Fairy types, but that's where you couple it with Gholdengo, right? With the Steel type damage, because what Fairy type wants to be able to take Make It Rain? Not a whole lot, right? So this is the idea here, and again, it makes a lot of sense. The only thing is there's no Indeedee Furgraph here, so you know, if you're able to just click Sucker Punch or priority moves into Regidrago, you can kind of mitigate that damage a little bit. But again, this is why you have Ogerpon and Rillaboom to help you out in terms of that, right? Then we go a little bit of a flashback back to Anton's team from Portland. Similar idea again with Tornadus, Gholdengo, Regidrago. This time it's Make It Rain with the Metal Coat, nasty plot idea like we saw from Toller. You still have Incin, Ogerpon giving you that redirection and Fake Out pressure. And then, of course, the Screen Tail allows you for a little bit more easier setup, right? Just for Disable and Encore stuff, right? That can allow you some space where you can use that space and set up that nasty plot and go for that big Make It Rain damage, right? So, you know, if you want to go hyper offense, I would definitely just use either one of these 1 or 2, 3 teams, right? It's just the easiest way to really utilize it in terms of like Tornadus Tailwind offense. How about the other way? What if we go the Trick Room direction? So this is Eric Rios' team from Dortmund. And basically, this is actually more focused around setting up the Como as opposed to using the Gholdengo here. But basically, again, the same idea. You're just using the support options from Incineroar, Tinglu, and Amoongus to be able to set up your Como, right? So you have damage mitigation from the Incin and Tinglu. Then you have the redirection support from the Amoongus and Spore Pressure. And then the Como is just able to set up here. And once it's ready and going to +6, then you can start clicking body presses and, you know, you're fine, right? The Porygon here gives you that Trick Room option because you have a ton of slow options here. And then Gholdengo with Trick Choice Specs just locks the opponent into a move that's not very favorable for them, and then they just have to switch out to be able to reset themselves, right? So Gholdengo can still put on a ton of pressure here, especially when you add Incineroar clicking Fake Out. Just if they don't have Protector, they're cooked, right? For example, right? And even Amoongus Gholdengo is still a thing where you can just redirect things and click Choice Specs, Make It Rain, which is kind of funny, right? All things considered. Giovanni here has a similar idea, again, with the Trick Choice Specs idea, but this time Farigiraf is your Trick Room setter, and you still have Incin Ogerpon here, still giving you that Fake Out Redirection support. Okay, and then Fluttermane, Urshifu, they're your breakers of the team. So again, a ton of damage coming out from the Gholdengo, Urshifu, and Fluttermane, and then the rest of the team is just giving you like good solid support options if you want to deny priority moves, which is something that Eric's team doesn't have. But Farigiraf again is also an aggressive option here with Life Orb, right? With Psychic, Hyper Voice, and of course, the Trick Room option here. So you have some good damage here. Okay, and it just really, again, Gholdengo looks really good on a lot of these teams. It's just, how do you want to play your team, right? That's what it really comes down to. How do you want to play your team, right? And then over here from Zachary Thornburg from Charlotte, right? This is like the hard Trick Room idea, right? We're still Incin, Amoongus, Porygon, the same thing from Eric, right? But now what he's saying is, look, I'm going to use Hatterene as well, right? And then not only is it going to be a Trick Room setter, but it's going to be my screen setter with Reflect and Light Screen, okay? And so this way I get a little bit more damage mitigation. Right, and then Gholdengo is the leftover set here where I can use Amoongus to help me set this up with Nasty Plot, and then clicking Make It Rain. Same thing with Incineroar here, Fake Out Pressure, Nasty Plot, right? And then you still have a little bit of leftovers recovery, giving you longevity, okay? And then you can also, click Protect to get a little bit more health, okay? But similar ideas, all in all. Again, it's just all about how do you want to set up your Gholdengo, right? That's really what it comes down here. Is just like get Trick Room up, and then maybe your Gholdengo is just not as fast as some of the other Tailwind hyper offensive Gholdengos, right? But you can still use Gholdengo within the Trick Room idea. What about in the middle, right? A little bit more balanced stuff. So you can definitely see Gholdengo on teams with like Hisuian, Arcanine, and Roaring Moon, right? This was often a starting core back in Regulation D, where you had Roaring Moon with Tailwind, you had the Arcanine for the Intimidate support, and then Gholdengo was a strong offensive special attacking option, right? So you can definitely get some ideas here. Again, Iron Hands also with Fake Out Pressure here, and then along with the Ogerpon giving you that redirection support, right? So if you didn't want to go Incineroar here, you can go Arcanine instead, and then your Fake Out would come from something like Iron Hands, for example, right? And then the Articuno over here will have Trick Room here. This almost looks like Jamie Boyd's team a little bit, just because there is Trick Room here on the Articuno. But again, the competitive idea here is just to make sure that your physical options just get punished, don't get as punished for getting Intimidate Cycle, because then the Articuno starts going for big hitting freezing glares, right? And Amoongus can't really click Spore into this thing because you have the safety goggle. So I really like this team a lot. So good job from Kian over here to really utilize this back in Liverpool. And again, this is the Life Orb Gholdengo idea. So a lot more immediate damage, not needing turns to set up, right? Just like the Metal Coat idea, except now your Shadow Ball is also getting boosted, as opposed to, taking chip damage from recoil and only your steel moves. So it all works, okay? It's just, again, you still see the same ideas in all these teams. How do I set up my Gholdengo? Can I get an Intimidate option on the team? Can I get a Redirector on the team? Do I have some kind of speed control where the Gholdengo can outspeed my opponent, whether it be Tailwind or whether it be Trick Room, right? So this is all, these are all like team building fundamentals that you want to surround your Gholdengo with. All in all, surrounding it with stuff like Fire, Water, Grass cores, Dragon, Fairy, Steel cores, right? So here's your Fairy type, your Hisuian Arcanine, right? And then your Dragon and your Steel are coming from the Roaring Moon and the Gholdengo idea, right? So this is another cool idea. What about Iron Jugulus? So this also works, right? So this is from the Mouse Tour tournament that took place recently, right? So same idea. Now we're getting Tailwind from Iron Jugulus as opposed to the Roaring Moon. You still have Iron Hands here. You still have Arcanine here. Here's the Ogerpon Wellspring. More or less the same options, right? The only difference here is that we have a Farigiraf setting Trick Room as opposed to the Galarian Articuno, which makes a little bit more sense on this kind of team just because we don't have as many physical options. There's an Iron Jugulus as opposed to Roaring Moon, which is a special attacker. So get that out of the way. Let's get the Fergraph on here. We'll still create pressure with Throat Spray and Hyper Voice stuff, but now we still have our Trick Room coming here, and this is where we have Tailwind from the Iron Jugular. So we have 2 modes of speed control, right? And the Gholdengo is in this awkward speed tier where it can be both good in Trick Room and Tailwind, right? And that's really what I wanted to show you more or less on these teams, is that you can use the Gholdengo in, in all 3 kinds of teams. Either it's Tailwind, either it's Trick Room, or even in the middle, in a more balanced team, Gholdengo can thrive and give you that pressure that you need for your team to do big damage. How about Grimmsnarl Screens? Gholdengo can do well in Grimmsnarl Screens. So here we go. Same idea here. Again, with Roaring Moon, setting my Tailwind. Grimmsnarl here is my Fairy type. Gholdengo is my Steel type. My Dragon Fairy Steel core is locked and loaded. The Entei and Ogerpon Wellspring give me my Fire Water Grass core. So we got 2 of the important VGC cores here. And then Okie Dokie Assault Vest here. This is actually more of an Okie Dokie kind of team, right? From Jack Clark from Dortmund. So shout outs to Jack for another cool team here. And again, the Gholdengo is actually a Citrus Berry here with Nasty Plot. So another usable item that you can take advantage of with your Gholdengo if you don't want Life Orb, if you don't want Metal Coat here. But I just think, maybe Metal Coat probably a little bit better, right? Just to get a little bit more damage and just so that the team isn't as passive, right? You do have the Choice Band here, so that's good, I guess. But I would like to see a little bit more offense coming out of this Gholdengo on this kind of team, right? Because you have the screens, right? You have all the damage mitigation that you want. Okay, you even have the redirection here, but and because look, this is Swords Dance Ogerpon, because you actually don't have the redirection here. So this is like Swords Dance, right? And then you have Nasty Plot here. That might be a little bit too much setup. I would probably make this more offensive here, either like Life Orb or Metal Coat here. But that's just my opinion, right? But again, still accomplishing the same idea. Like, can I mitigate damage? And then can I set up my Gholdengo and then potentially sweep, right? Then over here from Drix, from the recent Spear Pillar tournament, same idea. Here's the Grimmsnarl, and the Dragon type that we're using here is the Raging Bolt. So you have a little bit of speed control here with Electro Web and Scary Face, so that's nice. Here's the Ogerpon Incin defensive backbone to able to set up your leftovers Nasty Plot Gholdengo. And then, of course, Landorus is our other strong special attacker with Life Orb that doesn't necessarily need setup, right? You can just do immediate damage right away over here, right? So still this Dragon Fairy Steel core with Raging Bolt, Grimmsnarl, Gholdengo. I kind of like that. And then you add the defensive backbone with Incineroar and Ogerpon, right? And then this is like your flexible slot where this is Landorus here, right? And then even then, you could even put like Fluttermane here, for example, as your Fairy type. Okay, and then just be a little bit more offensive and choose something else over here, right? Instead of the Landorus. But Landorus also makes sense here just because we can get a flying type here as a pivot option for ground type attacks, because look at this. Bolt, Gholdengo, and Incin, you have 3 ground weaknesses here. We kind of need that flying type here. We don't have any resist. Okay, so I think the Landorus just makes a lot of sense here if you wanted to go a little bit more offensive here. But I do like Grimmsnarl all in all, just because of, it's one of our favorites, and damage mitigation is, once again, important in setting up our Gholdengo for endgame stuff, all right? So hopefully you got some ideas on how to use Gholdengo in some of these teams, right? So again, if you really want to use it, I think it's a good call in the meta right now. It just does so much damage, and there's lots of different ways to set up. Just looking back at all these teams that have used Gholdengo to its fullest potential and have had good results here, like even Sempra, right? I think this was the winning team from the recent Nino Tour, right? So Sempra here is saying, look, I've got Raging Bolt, I've got Amoongus, I've got Incin, I've got all that I need for balanced setup. I got Snarl, Intimidate, Fake Out, Pressure, Redirection, all the things that Gholdengo needs to set up this Nasty Plot. And then I've got Chien-Pao, Urshifu, just to deal a ton of damage in the end game, or even start in the beginning game. And then from there, either use Gholdengo as good early game option or good late game option, after like Chien-Pao and Urshifu have done their thing, or even before it, right? So let me know what you think of Gholdengo right now in Regulation F. Let me know what you've tried with it thus far, right? And if you're interested in building a Gholdengo team, right? Feel free to check out our coaching. It is available. If you take a look at the video description or in the comment section below, there's a pinned comment. There's a link to join the channel with the tier 3 sub, and from there you're able to book a one-on-one session with me, and maybe we can get you a team for your next Premier Challenge, your next mid-season challenge, or just something for an upcoming online ladder tour, maybe the Global Challenge. If you need something for that, we can also do some building for that as well. All right, but we'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.